Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel. And guys, today we got a really good old school video for y'all. We're gonna be talking about lizard fishing. Old school lizards, they still work just as good today. You don't hear much about them because there's so many different type of other soft plastics out there. But there is a couple different situations throughout the year that a lizard will outproduce about any other soft plastic. So I'm gonna go over that in today's video and get you guys set up with it. And also guys, I will put the lizards that I use, there's two different ones. I use the Zoom lizards in both the 8-inch size, this one, and the 6-inch size. So I'll put my Zoom lizard link in the description of this video. I think they make the best lizard in terms of just the feel of it, the softness of it, and the action, really lively in the water. So I'll have that Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. And also guys, real quick, one quick thing. Anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Shoot me a private message about the details there, and I really appreciate that, guys. Okay, old school lizards, man. Let's talk a little bit about when they work. These things have been around forever. It's like I remember fishing lizards back in the early 1980s, pretty much unchanged. I mean, a lizard has pretty much been like this. Initially, they didn't have a curly tail on them. A lot of the really old lizards just had a straight tail, and they had the lizard legs on it. But probably about the mid-1980s, they came out with curly tail legs, and they pretty much have remained unchanged throughout the years. The only difference that you have in lizards now is basically the plastics are a little bit different. Salt impregnated, they're a little softer, and they have more color options than they did before. But the basic premise of the lure profile of the lizard is pretty much unchanged. Now, one of the old myths I ever heard in bass fishing is people always used to say that you want to use a lizard in the springtime of the year because lizards eat bass eggs and the bass like to kill lizards. Guys, out of all the 50 plus years I've been bass fishing, I have never seen a lizard in the water ever. And I've never seen a lizard on a bass nest ever. So I don't think there's any truth to that. I don't even know if there's any lizards in most of the lakes across the country, but nevertheless, the profile of this bait is still really attractive to fish. Now, when you're talking about when you want to use certain soft plastics throughout the course of a year, it all has to do with the profile and the action of the lure based upon the mood and the personality of the bass, the water clarity, the water temperature, the stage that the fish are in. Certain times of the year, the bass prefer certain type of lures. For example, like in the heat of the summer, they like a big fat plastic worm, like a big 9 or 10-inch plastic worm is a really good bait in the winter, in the summertime of the year. And I don't catch that many fish in the summertime of year on really little thin, skinny worms, like a trick worm or something. They like a little bit fatter worms. Sometimes in a little bit more off-colored water, they want a lure that displaces some water, like a fat-bodied creature bait with a curly tail, like a brush hog can be good. And so every situation is different. But specifically for a lizard, let's talk about the two situations that I like a lizard. Now, the first situation is during the pre-spawn time of the year. Now, I don't know what it is about it, but it's like when that water temperature is between, say, 55 and 65 degrees, normally like in March or April or something like that. I'm not talking about bedding bass. I'm talking about just when the fish are beginning to move up and they're starting to get shallow and that water temperature is in the mid-50s to the mid-60s. If you have that water temperature in correlation with the water visibility of about probably 1 to 2 feet, that is prime lizard situation. It's like, I don't know what it is about it, but if I can get a foot or two of visibility and that water temperature in that zone, that time of year, bass love a lizard. Now, usually I rig it only one way. I usually use most all the time a 3/16, a fairly light, a 3/16 ounce sinker, and like a 3/0 straight shank hook on there. Texas rig it, I peg the weight on the lizard and pitch it and flip it around shallow cover. I don't really fish a lizard like in the middle of like thick bushes and stuff because the legs get hung up. But a lizard to me is a really good bait, like to pitch around boat docks and boat dock piers, stumps in the water, lay down trees in the water, lily pads, and even on bare banks they can be pretty good. And the action of that lizard in correlation with that lighter sinker, that slow fall that makes the legs will act as drag along with that 3/16 sinker, super, super attractive to bass when they're in that mood and personality. Okay, the other time that I use a lizard is in the early summer on a Carolina rig. Now, lizard has been one of the top Carolina rig lures forever. So in the month of like June and July, I'll Carolina rig a lizard on like a 1 ounce, Carolina rig sinker. Just fishing hard structure places like points and ledges and drop offs are really good with that. Color for a lizard, if I'm fishing it on a Carolina rig, about the only thing I use is a green pumpkin. But if I'm flipping and pitching it around the shallow cover in the pre-spawn, color is very important. I got 3 different colors that I use on a lizard for the most part. Number 1 is the green pumpkin. Green pumpkin is going to be really good on that lizard anytime that water visibility is closer to 2 foot. I usually dye the tail chartreuse in it. Now, if the water is dirty, say for that water is a foot or so, or 8 inches or a foot of clarity, like dirty off-colored water, I use the black with red flake. This black with red flake is an excellent bait in that dirty water. 3/16 sinker on all these things. And if the water visibility is sort of like in between a foot or two, like it's not quite 2 foot, it's not quite a foot, a June bug is one of my favorite colors. And also, a June bug is really good anytime that you're around some type of aquatic vegetation. Anytime that you're fishing hydrilla, milfoil, lily pads, cattails, reeds, any vegetation in the water, it seems like they really like the June bug lizard. June bug is one of my favorite colors. I use it quite a bit, especially if that water visibility is about, in that 15-inch clarity range. June bug can be really, really good. And most of the time, since I'm flipping and pitching it on a 3/16 ounce sinker, I'm usually using like 17-pound test Seaguard Vizex fluorocarbon line on a flipping stick. And just like anything else, man, it's just a flipping and pitching bait. I don't really cast it except for when I'm using the Carolina rig. But if I get in those situations in the springtime of the year, again, not for necessarily bedding bass, but just for bass that are up shallow in general, that lizard's really hard to beat. So anyway, guys, I'll put that Zoom link in the description of the video. Hope it helps you guys catch some good ones, and we'll check in later.